The alarm bells rang across the Zilani defense station as the sensors picked up something strange. Captain Vextar looked at the glowing screen with concern. A small object was drifting through their star system, moving slowly and sending out a weak signal. "What is it?" asked Lieutenant Kiraval, her crystal skin flickering with blue light. The Zilani people always showed their emotions through the colors in their skin, and blue meant worry. "It looks like an escape pod," Vextar replied. "But the design is not from any species we know." The Zilani had been peaceful for thousands of years. Their home planet of Kepler 442b was a beautiful world with purple skies and silver trees. They spent their time studying the stars, creating art, and sharing knowledge with each other. War was something they only read about in old books. "Should we bring it in?" Kiraval asked. Vextar nodded. "Yes. If someone is in trouble, we must help them." The rescue ship launched from the station and caught the small pod with a tractor beam. When they brought it into the docking bay, the Zilani crew gathered around it. The pod was made of metal they had never seen before, and it was badly damaged. Burn marks covered the sides and several holes had been patched with emergency foam. "There is someone inside," said Engineer Nolthek, reading his scanner, "but the life signs are very weak." They carefully opened the pod. Inside was a being unlike any they had ever seen. It had pink skin instead of crystal, short brown hair, and was much smaller than a Zilani. The creature was unconscious and breathing slowly. "Take him to the medical bay," Vextar ordered. "Call Dr. Lyra On right away." Dr. Lyra On was the best healer on their world. She had studied medicine for over 200 years and had never seen a patient she could not help. But when she looked at the strange being on her medical table, she felt confused. "His body is so different," she said to her assistant. "His blood is red, not silver like ours. His bones are much denser. And look at these scars. This being has been hurt many times before." She worked for hours, using her healing crystals and medical knowledge to save the stranger's life. Slowly, his breathing became stronger, and his heart beat steadily. 3 days later, the being opened his eyes. They were brown, a color the Zilani had never seen in eyes before. He tried to sit up but was too weak. "Easy," Dr. Lyra On said softly. "You are safe now." The stranger looked around the room with fear. He tried to speak, but the words came out, in a language the Zilani did not understand. "My name is Lyra On," the doctor said, pointing to herself. "You are on Kepler 442b. You are safe." The being pointed to himself and said, Jake Morrison." Over the next few weeks, Jake slowly got better. He learned to speak the Zilani language, and they learned some of his words too. The Zilani were amazed at how quickly he picked up their language. Most species took years to learn even basic Zilani words. Jake told them his story. He was human, from a species that lived on a planet called Earth. His people had been traveling through space looking for new homes on other worlds, but they had been attacked by the Korthak Empire. "The Korthak hate us," Jake explained to a group of Zilani who had gathered to hear his story. "They think humans are dangerous because we spread to new worlds quickly. They have been destroying our colonies and killing our people." The Zilani listened with growing horror. They had heard of the Korthak but had never met them. The Korthak were known as a warlike people who conquered other worlds, but they had never bothered the peaceful Zilani. "My ship was called the New Horizon," Jake continued. "We had 5,000 people on board, including families with children. We were going to start a new colony on a planet in the Vega system, but the Korthak found us." Jake's voice became quiet. "They destroyed our ship with no warning. I was in the cargo bay when it happened. The emergency systems put me in an escape pod, but everyone else died." The Zilani in the room felt deep sadness. Their crystal skin turned dark purple, the color of grief. "I drifted in space for 3 weeks," Jake said. "I thought I was going to die. Then you found me and saved my life." Dr. Lyra On put her hand on Jake's shoulder. "We are glad we could help you." Jake learned about Zilani culture and found it amazing. They had no crime, no war, and no hatred. They shared everything they had with each other. When someone was sick, everyone helped. When someone was sad, others comforted them. How do you live without fighting? Jake asked Elder Morden, the leader of their government. Why would we fight? She replied. We have everything we need. When we disagree, we talk until we find an answer that makes everyone happy. Jake thought about his own people. Humans did fight sometimes, but they also helped each other. When Earth was attacked, humans from all over the galaxy came to help. When colonies were in trouble, rescue ships were sent. Humans could be violent, but they were also loyal and brave. As weeks passed, Jake became part of Zilani society. He helped Dr. Lira'an understand human medicine. He taught the children about Earth and showed them pictures of blue skies and green trees. He helped the engineers understand human technology, but Jake was worried. He knew the Korthak would find him eventually. They had ways of tracking humans, and they never gave up. I should leave, he told Captain Vextar one day. If the Korthak find me here, they will hurt your people. Vextar's skin turned bright gold, the color of determination. You are one of us now, Jake. We do not abandon family. Jake felt tears in his eyes. The Zilani had shown him more kindness than he had ever expected. They had taken him in when he had nothing. They had given him a home and made him feel welcome. But you do not understand, Jake said. The Korthak are not like other enemies. They do not just conquer worlds, they destroy them completely. If they find me here, they will kill everyone on your planet. Elder Morden joined the conversation. Then we will be ready for them, she said. We have lived in peace for thousands of years, but we are not helpless. Jake knew the Zilani were not helpless, but they were not fighters either. Their ships were built for exploration, not war. Their weapons were designed to move asteroids, not fight enemy fleets. That night, Jake made a decision. He went to the communication center and sent a message into space. It was encrypted with codes only humans would understand, and it would take weeks to reach Earth. The message was simple. This is Jake Morrison, survivor of the New Horizon. I am on the Zilani world of Kepler 442b. The Zilani saved my life and gave me a home. But the Korthak are coming. The Zilani refuse to give me up. They are going to die protecting me. If anyone receives this message, please remember that the Zilani are good people. They showed kindness to a stranger and asked for nothing in return. Jake sent the message and hoped someone would receive it. He did not expect help. Earth was too far away, and humanity was still fighting for survival against the Korthak. But he wanted someone to know that the Zilani had been heroes. 3 months after Jake's arrival, Korthak scouts found traces of human technology in the Kepler 442 system. The word quickly reached Commander Thrackle, who commanded a large war fleet. The hunt for the last human from the New Horizon was about to begin. Commander Thrackle stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Bone Crusher. His red eyes stared at the star map showing the Kepler 442 system. For 3 months, his scouts had been searching for the human who escaped from the New Horizon. Now they had found him. Are you certain the human is there? Thrackle asked his intelligence officer. Yes, Commander, replied Lieutenant Grixnall. Our spy satellites detected human energy signatures on the planet. The readings matched the escape pod that launched from the New Horizon. Thrackle smiled, showing his sharp teeth. The Korthak were a warrior race that looked like giant lizards with thick armor-like skin. They believed that only the strong deserved to survive, and they saw humans as a threat to their empire. Humans spread too fast, Thrackle said to his officers. In just 500 years, they went from one world to dozens of colonies. If we let them grow, they will take over the galaxy. The Korthak had been fighting humans for 20 years. They had destroyed many human colonies and killed millions of people. But humans kept fighting back, and that made the Korthak angry. What do we know about this planet? Thrackle asked. It is home to the Zilani, Grixnall replied. They are a peaceful species. No weapons, no army, no space fleet. They should not be a problem. Thrackle nodded. Good. We will go there, take the human, and destroy anyone who helped him. The galaxy must learn that protecting humans means death. The Korthak war fleet began moving toward Kepler 442b. 75 ships filled with soldiers and weapons headed through space. It would take them 7 days to reach the Zilani world. On Kepler 442b, Jake was working in Dr. Lyra On's laboratory when the warning came. Captain Vextar rushed into the room, his crystal skin flashing red with alarm. "Jake, we have a problem," Vextar said. "Our long-range sensors have detected a large fleet moving toward our system. The ships match Korthak designs." Jake felt his blood turn cold. "How many ships?" 75 warships, Vextar replied. "They will be here in 7 days. Jake closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This was what he had been afraid of. The Korthak had found him, and now the Zilani would pay the price for their kindness. "I have to leave," Jake said. "If I take a ship and go into deep space, maybe they will follow me and leave your people alone." Dr. Lyra On shook her head. "Jake, you are family now. We do not abandon family." "But you do not understand," Jake said. "The Korthak will not just take me. They will kill everyone on your planet to send a message to other species. They want everyone to know that helping humans means death." Captain Vextar's skin turned gold. "With determination. Then we will fight them." Jake looked at his friend with sadness. "Vextar, you have 30 exploration ships. They have 75 warships. Your people have never fought a war. The Korthak have been fighting for centuries. We cannot just give up," Dr. Lyra On said. "There must be something we can do." Jake thought about the message he had sent to Earth weeks ago. He had not expected an answer, but maybe someone had received it. Maybe someone would remember the Zilani's kindness. "I need to use your quantum communication array," Jake said. "I want to send another message to my people." "Of course," Vextar replied. "But Earth is thousands of light years away. Even if they wanted to help, they could not get here in time." Jake nodded. "I know. But I want them to know what happened. Here. I want them to know that the Zilani were heroes." They went to the communication center where Jake sent his second message to Earth. This time, he made it stronger and clearer. "This is Jake Morrison on Kepler 442b. The Zilani people found me dying in space and saved my life. They gave me a home and made me part of their family. Now the Korthak are coming to kill them because they protected me. The Zilani refuse to surrender me to save themselves. They are the bravest, kindest people in the galaxy. If you receive this message, please remember them. Please remember that some people choose to do what is right, even when it costs them everything." Far away on Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter was working late in her office at Luna Command when the message arrived. She had been fighting the Korthak for years and had lost many friends in the war. When she heard Jake's message, she stopped what she was doing and listened to it 3 times. Admiral Carter was a tough woman who had fought in dozens of battles. She had gray hair and scars on her face from Korthak weapons. But when she heard about the Zilani's sacrifice, she felt tears in her eyes. She immediately called her staff officers. "Get me Fleet Commanders Hayes, Collins, and Foster. Wake them up if you have to." Within an hour, the 3 fleet commanders were in her office. Captain Ryan Hayes commanded the 3rd Fleet. Commander Steve Collins led the 5th Fleet, and Admiral Amy Foster was in charge of the 1st Expeditionary Force. "Listen to this," Admiral Carter said, playing Jake's message. When the message ended, the room was quiet for a moment. "The Zilani saved one of our people," Admiral Carter said. "Now they are going to die for it. What do you think we should do?" Captain Hayes spoke first. "We have to help them. We cannot let good people die for protecting one of our own, Commander." Collins nodded. "I agree, but Kepler 442b is 12 days away at maximum speed. Can we get there in time?" Admiral Foster looked at the star charts. "If we push our engines to the limit, we might make it, but we would need every available ship." Admiral Carter smiled. "Then that is what we will do. I want every combat-ready vessel in the solar system. Call back the patrol fleets. Cancel all leave. We are going to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten someone under human protection." The 3 commanders looked at each other. This would be the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. "Ma'am," Captain Hayes said, This could be dangerous. If we lose this battle, Earth will be defenseless. Admiral Carter stood up. Captain, 20 years ago the Korthak started killing our people. They have destroyed our colonies and murdered our families. But we have never given up and we have never abandoned our own. The Zilani took in a human refugee when they could have turned him away. They chose kindness over safety. Now we choose loyalty over caution. The orders went out across the solar system. Every human warship received the same message. Assemble. At Luna Command immediately. A species that showed kindness to humanity is in danger. We will not let them stand alone. Ships began arriving from all over human space. The massive battleship UES Defiant led the Third Fleet. The carrier UES Liberty brought squadrons of fighters. Even the old cruiser UES Endeavour came out of mothballs with a crew of volunteers. In just 18 hours, humanity had assembled 200 warships. It was the largest fleet in human history. Back on Kepler 442b, the Zilani were preparing for the Korthak arrival. They had moved their children to underground shelters and were trying to upgrade their shields. Jake worked with their engineers, teaching them everything he knew about human defensive technology. We have improved the shield generators, reported engineer Nolthek. They are now 30% stronger. Jake nodded, but he knew it would not be enough. The Korthak had weapons that could crack planets. Even improved shields would only buy them a few more minutes. Elder Morden found Jake in the engineering bay. Jake, I want you to know something. We do not regret our choice. You are worth fighting for. Jake felt tears in his eyes. I wish I could save you. You already have, she replied. You showed us that there are good people in the galaxy worth protecting. That knowledge is worth any price. The Korthak fleet was now 3 days away. The Zilani had 30 small ships and 1 human refugee. The odds were impossible. But across the galaxy, 200 human warships were racing through space at maximum speed. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching the stars streak past. How long until we reach Kepler 442b? She asked. 10 days, ma'am, replied the navigator. We are pushing the engines beyond safe limits. Push them harder, Admiral Carter ordered. Good people are about to die for helping one of our own. We will not let that happen. The race was on. Would humanity arrive in time to save the species that had shown kindness to a human refugee? The answer would determine the fate of 2 civilizations. The human fleet raced through space at dangerous speeds. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching the stars blur past. Her ship led 200 vessels toward the Zilani homeworld. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Admiral, we are getting reports from the engine rooms, said Commander Bill Watson, her second-in-command. Several ships are showing stress fractures from pushing their engines so hard. Admiral Carter did not take her eyes off the star display. Tell them to keep pushing. We cannot let the Zilani die for helping one of our own. Captain Ryan Hayes commanded the UES Defiant. He was a veteran of many battles against the Korthak. His bridge crew had worked together for 3 years, and they trusted each other completely. Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster ran the weapons systems. She was the best tactical officer in the fleet and could hit targets that other gunners could not even see. Commander Steve Collins managed the engineering section and kept the ship's powerful engines running at maximum power. Navigator Lisa Park plotted their course through the dangerous hyperspace routes. How much longer until we reach Kepler 442b? Admiral Carter asked. 7 days at current speed, Lisa replied. But Admiral, we are taking a big risk. If we damage our engines, we will be stuck in deep space. The Korthak will reach the Zilani world in 5 days, Admiral Carter said. We have to get there first or we will arrive too late to help. The Admiral turned to address the entire fleet through the communication system. This is Admiral Carter. To all ships. I know you are all pushing your vessels to the breaking point. I know your engines are overheating and your crews are exhausted. But I want you to remember why we are doing this. She paused, thinking about Jake's message. 3 months ago, a human refugee named Jake Morrison was dying in space. The Zilani people found him and saved his life. They could have ignored him. They could have left him to die. Instead, they took him in and made him part of their family, the Mio. Communication channel was silent as hundreds of crew members listened to their admiral. Now the Korthak are coming to kill the Zilani because they protected one of us. The Zilani refused to surrender Jake to save themselves. They would rather die than betray someone they care about. That is the kind of courage and loyalty that we must honor. Admiral Carter's voice became stronger. We are not just rescuing a human refugee. We are showing the galaxy that kindness should be rewarded, not punished. We are proving that when someone protects a human, humanity protects them. In return, across the fleet, crew members felt inspired by their admiral's words. Engineers worked harder to keep the engines running. Gunners checked their weapon systems. Pilots prepared their fighters for battle. Meanwhile, on Kepler 442b, Jake worked frantically with the Zilani to prepare their defenses. The Korthak would arrive in 3 days, and there was still so much to do. We have upgraded the planetary shield generators, reported engineer Noel Thek. They are now 50% stronger than before. Jake nodded, but he knew it was not enough. He had seen what Korthak weapons could do. They had destroyed his colony ship in minutes. Dr. Lira joined them in the command center. Jake, our medical teams are ready to treat wounded. We have moved all non-essential personnel to the underground shelters. What about the children? Jake asked. They are safe in the deepest bunkers, she replied. If the worst happens, they might survive. Captain Vexistar entered the room, his crystal skin glowing with determination. Jake, our fleet is ready. 30 ships against 75 Korthak warships. The odds are not good, but we will fight. Jake looked at his friend with sadness. The Zilani ships were built for exploration, not war. They had scientific equipment and research labs, not heavy weapons and armor. Vextar, you do not have to do this, Jake said. You could still surrender me to the Korthak. It might save your people. Vextar's skin flashed bright gold. Jake, we have been through this before. You are family. We do not abandon family. Elder Morden entered the command center. She was old, even by Zilani standards, and her crystal skin was pale with age. But her voice was strong and clear. I have been recording our history, she said. Future generations will know why we made this choice. They will know that we stood up for what was right even when it was dangerous. Jake felt tears in his eyes. These peaceful people were willing to die for him. They had shown him more kindness than he had ever expected from strangers. There is something else, Elder Mordun continued. Our quantum communication array picked up a signal from deep space. It was very faint, but our computers were able to decode part of it. Jake's heart began to beat faster. What kind of signal? It was in human language, she said. Someone said, "We are coming. Hold on." Jake stared at the elder in shock. Are you sure? Could it really be from my people? We cannot be certain, she replied. The signal was too weak to get a clear reading, but it came from the direction of Earth. Jake felt a spark of hope for the first time in weeks. Maybe someone had received his message. Maybe help was coming. But even if it was true, would they arrive in time? 2 days later, the Korthak fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Commander Thrakul stood on his bridge, studying the sensor readings. What do you see? He asked his tactical officer. The planet has basic shields and a small defense fleet, Lieutenant Grixnell reported. 30 ships, all of them lightly armed. This will be easy. Thrakul smiled his cold smile. Good. We will destroy their fleet first, then demand they surrender. The human. When they refuse, we will bombard their planet until nothing is left alive. The Korthak fleet began moving toward the planet. Their ships were dark and menacing, built for war and conquest. Each vessel carried enough firepower to destroy a city. On Kepler 442b, the alarms began to sound. Captain Vextar rushed to the command center where Jake and the other leaders were waiting. They are here, Vextar reported. 75 Korthak warships, moving toward our planet. Jake looked at the tactical display. The Korthak ships were spread out in attack formation, approaching slowly and confidently. They knew they had already won. How long before they reach us? Elder Mordoon asked. 6 hours, Vextar replied. Our fleet is moving to intercept them, but he did not need to finish the sentence. Everyone knew the Zilani fleet could not win this battle. Jake made a decision. I am going with you. Jake, no, Dr. Lira said. You are not a soldier. Maybe not, Jake replied. But I am the reason this is happening. I should be there. Captain Vextar nodded. You can come on my ship, but you must promise to stay safe. If we lose this battle, you are the only one who can tell the galaxy about our sacrifice. Jake agreed, and they prepared to launch. The Zilani fleet lifted off from their planet and moved toward the approaching Korthak ships. Each Zilani vessel carried a crew of scientists and explorers who had never fought a battle in their lives. But they were fighting for their home and their family. Sometimes that was enough. As the two fleets approached each other, Jake sent one final message into space. This is Jake Morrison. The Korthak fleet has arrived. The Zilani are preparing to fight. If anyone can hear this, please remember that these people chose to do what was right. They chose to protect someone who needed help, even when it meant risking everything. The message traveled through space at the speed of light. Far away, the human fleet received it loud and clear. Admiral Carter clenched her fists. Navigator, what is our position? We are still 4 days away, Admiral, Lisa Park replied. That is too long, Admiral Carter said. The battle will be over by then. She turned to her engineering officer. Commander Collins, I need you to push the engines beyond their safety limits. I do not care if we burn them out. We have to get there. Admiral, if we do that, we might not be able to get home, Collins warned. Admiral Carter looked at him with steel in her eyes. Commander, if we do not save the Zilani, we do not deserve to go home. The human fleet increased speed again, racing desperately through space. Behind them, their engines glowed white-hot from the strain. The race was almost over. In a few hours, the Korthak would attack the Zilani fleet. The peaceful explorers would face the galaxy's most feared warriors. But somewhere in the darkness of space, 200 human warships were coming. They carried the fury of a species that never forgot its friends and never forgave its enemies. The question was simple. Would they arrive in time? The answer would determine whether kindness or cruelty ruled the galaxy. The Korthak warfleet moved through space like a dark cloud of death. 75 massive ships approached the peaceful Zilani world with their weapons ready to fire. Commander Thrakul watched the tactical display from his command chair, confident that victory would be easy. The Zilani fleet is moving to intercept us, reported Lieutenant Grixnall. 30 small ships. They are positioning themselves between us and their planet. Thrakul laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. Look at them, scientists pretending to be warriors. This will be over quickly. The Zilani ships formed a defensive line in front of their homeworld. Each vessel was small and graceful, built for exploring the stars rather than fighting wars. But their crews were determined to protect their home. Jake stood on the bridge of Captain Vexitar's ship, the Crystal Song. Through the viewing window, he could see the approaching Korthak fleet. The enemy ships were huge and ugly, covered with weapon ports and armor plating. Jake, you should go to the emergency shelter, Dr. Lira said. She had insisted on coming with the fleet to provide medical help. No, Jake replied. If this is the end, I want to face it with my friends. Captain Vexitar's crystal skin was glowing bright gold with courage. All ships, this is Captain Vextar. Today we fight not just for our world, but for the idea that kindness should be rewarded. We fight to show the galaxy that good people will always stand together. The Zilani crews responded with determination. They were afraid, but they would not run away. Commander Thrakul opened a communication channel to the Zilani fleet. His voice was cold and threatening. I am Commander Thrakul of the Korthak Empire. Surrender the human immediately, and we will kill you quickly. Resist, and we will make your planet burn for 1,000 years. Captain Vextar replied for all the Zilani. I am Captain Vextar of the Zilani Defense Force. The human is under our protection. You will not harm him while we still draw breath. Then, You will stop drawing breath very soon, Thrackle snarled. The Korthak fleet opened fire. Bright beams of energy lanced across space toward the Zilani ships. The smaller vessels tried to dodge, but some were too slow. The first Zilani ship, the Starseeker, took a direct hit. Its shields collapsed instantly and the ship exploded in a ball of fire. 23 crew members died in seconds. Return. Fire, Captain Vextar ordered. The Zilani ships fired their weapons, but they were designed for mining asteroids, not fighting warships. Their beams bounced harmlessly off the Korthak shields. Another Zilani ship, the Moondancer, was destroyed by concentrated Korthak fire. Then the Skywalker exploded as enemy missiles overwhelmed its defenses. Jake watched in horror as his friends died trying to protect him. "This is my fault," he said. "They are dying because of me." Dr. Lyra An put her hand on his shoulder. "They are dying because they chose to do what was right. That is not your fault, Jake. That is their choice." The battle continued for an hour. The Zilani fought bravely, but they were badly outmatched. Ship after ship was destroyed by the superior Korthak firepower. The survivors kept fighting, even as their formation fell apart. "We have lost half our fleet," reported Lieutenant Kiraval from the communication station. "The remaining ships are requesting orders." Captain Vextar looked at Jake, then at his crew. "We continue fighting. We hold them as long as we can." Jake activated the communication system. "This is Jake Morrison to all Zilani ships. I want to surrender myself to save you." "Negative," came the reply from Captain Talaran of the Windrider. "You are family. We protect family." "Agreed," said Captain Nordak of the Lightbearer. "We stand together, one by one." The remaining Zilani captains confirmed their commitment. They would fight to the end. But the end was coming quickly. Only 12 Zilani ships were left, and their weapons were running low on power. The Korthak had barely been scratched. Commander Thrackle prepared for the final assault. "All ships, target the planet's shield generators. We will bombard the surface until nothing lives." The Korthak fleet moved past the battered Zilani defenders and aimed their weapons at the planet below. In minutes, they would begin destroying cities and killing millions of innocent people. Jake closed his eyes and prepared for the worst. He had sent messages into space, but no help had come. The Zilani would die, and it was his fault. Then something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to tear open as dozens of ships dropped out of hyperspace. Then dozens more, then hundreds more. 200 human warships appeared in perfect formation, their weapons already charging for battle. At their head was the massive battleship UES Defiant, flying the flag of Admiral Lysa Carter. Jake stared through the viewing window in amazement. "They came," he whispered. "They actually came." "Admiral." Carter's voice echoed across all communication channels. "This is Admiral Lysa Carter of the Earth Defense Force. You have threatened beings under human protection. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences." Commander Thrackle was shocked. According to his intelligence reports, Earth was thousands of light years away. How had they arrived so quickly? "This is Commander Thrackle," he replied. "You are outnumbered. We have 75 ships to your—" "How many ships do you have?" 200, Admiral Carter replied calmly. "But numbers do not matter. You threatened people who showed kindness to one of our own. That was a mistake." Thew. Human fleet moved into attack formation with precision that amazed both the Zilani and the Korthak. These were not explorers pretending to be warriors. These were professional soldiers who had been fighting the Korthak for 20 years. Captain Ryan Hayes commanded the UES Defiant from the bridge. "Admiral, all ships report ready for battle." Admiral Carter nodded. "Open fire." The human fleet unleashed its fury. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles streaked across space toward the Korthak ships. The enemy had been expecting an easy victory against peaceful Zilani. They were not prepared for the coordinated attack of a real war fleet. 3. Korthak ships exploded in the first salvo. 5 more were crippled and began drifting in space. The remaining enemy vessels tried to return fire, but the human ships were already moving to new positions. "Impossible," Commander Thrackle muttered. "How are they so fast?" "Lieutenant Commander, Amy Foster coordinated the attack from the Defiance tactical station. She had studied Korthak battle tactics for years and knew their weaknesses. Target their command ships first, she ordered the fleet. Cut off their communications. The human ships moved like a pack of wolves, surrounding and destroying the Korthak vessels one by one. The enemy had superior firepower on each individual ship, but the humans fought as a team. Commander Steve Collins kept the Defiance engines running at maximum power as the ship dodged enemy fire. Navigator Lisa Park plotted attack courses that brought them in behind Korthak ships where their shields were weakest. The battle that was supposed to be an easy Korthak victory became a desperate fight for survival. Human fighters swarmed around the enemy capital ships like angry wasps. Human cruisers coordinated their attacks to overwhelm Korthak defenses. Jake watched the battle with tears in his eyes. The humans had crossed the galaxy to save people they had never met. They were fighting and dying to protect the Zalani who had shown kindness to a single refugee. "Jake," Captain Vextar said, his crystal skin glowing with amazement, "your people came for us." "They came for you," Jake replied, "because you were brave enough to help someone who needed it." The battle raged for 4 hours. When it was over, the Korthak fleet was destroyed. Only a few enemy ships managed to escape, limping back toward their territory with news of their defeat. Commander Thrakul's flagship was captured by human marines. The proud Korthak commander found himself facing Captain Ryan Hayes in his own command center. "Your empire made a mistake," Hayes told him. "You thought you could kill innocent people without consequences. You were wrong." The surviving Korthak vessels fled into deep space carrying word of humanity's response. Across the galaxy, other species would learn an important lesson. Those who showed kindness to humans would find Earth's protection. Those who threatened them would face Earth's wrath. On the planet below, the Zalani people watched the human fleet orbit their world. They had been saved by strangers who crossed the galaxy to honor a debt of gratitude. Jake Morrison, the refugee who had started it all, looked out at the stars and smiled. The Zalani had saved him when he had nothing. Now humanity would stand watch over their skies forever. 3 days after the battle, Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the Great Hall of the Zalani Council. The crystal walls sparkled with soft light, and the air smelled like flowers from the planet's purple gardens. Around her sat the leaders of the Zalani, people, their crystal skin glowing with colors of gratitude and joy. Elder Mordun spoke for her people. "Admiral Carter, we do not have words to express our thanks. You crossed the galaxy to save people you had never met." Admiral Carter smiled. "Elder Mordun, your people saved one of ours when they could have left him to die. That debt can never be repaid." Jake Morrison sat between the two leaders, amazed at how much had changed. 3 months ago, he had been a dying refugee drifting through space. Now he was witnessing the birth of the first alliance between humans and another species. "We have prepared a proposal," Elder Mordun continued. "The Zalani people wish to form a formal alliance with Earth. We will share our medical knowledge and scientific discoveries with humanity. In return, we ask for your protection and friendship." Admiral Carter nodded. "We would be honored to sign such an agreement." Dr. Lyra On stepped forward carrying a crystal tablet. "This treaty declares that the Zalani and humans will stand together as friends and allies. We will help each other and protect each other." Captain Ryan Hayes had joined the ceremony along with other human commanders. "Admiral, what should we call this agreement?" Jake spoke up. "The Treaty of Kepler 442b. This is where it all started." Everyone agreed. The treaty was signed by Admiral Carter for humanity and Elder Mordun for the Zalani people. It was the first step toward something much bigger. Captain Vextar approached Jake after the ceremony. "My friend, will you stay with us or return to Earth?" Jake thought about the question. Earth was his birthplace, but Kepler 442b had become his home. The Zalani had shown him kindness when he needed it most. "I want to stay here," Jake said. "But I also want to help build bridges between our peoples. Maybe I can be the human ambassador to the Zalani." Dr. Lyra On smiled, her crystal skin glowing with happiness. "We would like that very much, Jake. You understand both our cultures." Admiral Carter agreed to the idea. "Jake, you would be perfect for that job. You know what it means to be helped by strangers." Within weeks, the news of the alliance spread across the galaxy. Other species heard the story of how the Zilani had protected a human refugee and how humanity had responded by crossing the galaxy to save them. The first to contact Earth was the Altarian Trade Federation. Their leader, Prime Minister Colbeth, sent a message to Admiral Carter. "We have heard about your loyalty to the Zilani people," the message said. "The Altarians control many trade routes in this sector of the galaxy. We would like to discuss an agreement with humanity. We will give you access to our commercial networks if you will protect our merchant ships from Korthak raiders." Admiral Carter was pleased. "It seems our reputation is spreading." Next came the Centauri Science Collective. These people were researchers and inventors who had developed amazing technologies. They wanted to share their knowledge with both humans and Zilani in exchange for protection and friendship. Even the secretive Vegan Federation, who had avoided contact with other species for centuries, sent diplomatic messages. They had heard about the battle and wanted to meet these humans who valued loyalty above everything else. Admiral Carter realized that something important was happening. The alliance with the Zilani was growing into something much larger. "We need a permanent base in this region," she told Captain Hayes. "Somewhere we can coordinate with our new allies and respond quickly to threats." They decided to build a space station in orbit around Kepler 442b. The station would be jointly operated by humans and Zilani, with representatives from other friendly species welcome to visit. Construction began immediately. Human engineers worked alongside Zilani scientists to design a station that combined the best of both technologies. The station would have powerful shields, advanced weapons, and facilities for research and diplomacy. Jake was appointed as the first director of interspecies relations. His job was to help different species understand each other and work together. Captain Vextar became the joint commander of the station alongside Captain Hayes. As the months passed, more species joined what became known as the Interspecies Protection Alliance. Each new member brought unique skills and knowledge to the group. The aquatic miners of Titan 7th offered their expertise in underwater construction. The crystal singers of the Andromeda Nebula shared their ability to communicate across vast distances. The peaceful farmers of the green worlds provided food and agricultural knowledge, but not everyone was happy about the growing alliance. The Korthak Empire saw it as a threat to their power. The few surviving ships from the battle at Kepler 442b had carried news of their defeat back to the Korthak homeworld. Emperor Zrakthul was furious when he heard the report. "How did a handful of humans defeat our greatest fleet?" "The humans fought differently than we expected," explained General Morgak, one of the few officers who had escaped the battle. "They coordinated their attacks and protected each other. They fought like they cared more about winning than surviving." The Emperor paced around his throne room. "This alliance must be stopped before it grows stronger. Send spies to learn about these humans, find their weaknesses." But the Korthak spies found something unexpected. The human alliance was not based on fear or conquest like the Korthak Empire. It was based on friendship and mutual help. The member species actually wanted to be part of the alliance. This confused the Korthak, who only understood relationships based on strength and domination. They could not figure out how to fight an enemy that made friends instead of slaves. Meanwhile, the alliance continued to grow. The space station above Kepler 442b became a busy hub of activity. Ships from dozens of species docked there to trade goods, share information, and ask for help. Jake often stood in the station's observation deck watching the constant traffic of ships. Human warships patrolled alongside Zilani research vessels. Altarian traders brought goods from across the galaxy. Scientists from a dozen species worked together in the station's laboratories. Dr. Lira joined him one day, her crystal skin glowing with contentment. "Did you ever imagine it would become this big?" Jake shook his head. "When I was drifting in that escape pod, I thought I was going to die alone in space. I never imagined that being rescued would lead to all this. Your people have taught the galaxy an important lesson," she said. "They showed everyone that loyalty and friendship are stronger than fear and hatred." The Alliance faced its first real test when the Korthak attacked the peaceful mining colony of Zarian Prime. The colonists sent out a desperate call for help, and the Alliance responded immediately. A combined fleet of human, Zilani, and Altarian ships arrived at Zarian Prime just as the Korthak were beginning their attack. The battle was quick and decisive. The Alliance ships worked together perfectly, driving off the Korthak raiders and saving the colony. Word of the victory spread quickly. More species asked to join the Alliance, and the Korthak became more isolated than ever. 5 years after Jake's rescue, the Interspecies Protection Alliance included 47 different species. The Korthak Empire had collapsed from within as their subject races rebelled with secret human support. Jake, now a respected diplomat, often received delegations from species across the galaxy. They all wanted the same thing: to be part of the alliance that had grown from one simple act of kindness. Admiral Carter, promoted to Fleet Admiral, commanded a force that spanned dozens of star systems. Her ships patrolled the galaxy, protecting peaceful species and helping those in need. The Zilani homeworld had become a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy. Pilgrims from many species came there to see the place where the Great Alliance had begun. Elder Morden, now very old but still wise, often told visitors the story of how it all started. "A human refugee came to us dying and alone," she would say. "We could have turned him away, but we chose to help. That choice changed the galaxy." Jake still lived on Kepler 442b, but he traveled frequently to other worlds in his role as director of interspecies relations. Everywhere he went, people knew his story. He was the refugee whose rescue had led to the greatest alliance in galactic history. The message was clear to every species in the galaxy: show kindness to those under human protection, and Earth would stand watch over your skies, threaten them, and face the consequences. The humans had learned something important too. True strength did not come from weapons or fear. It came from keeping promises, protecting friends, and never forgetting those who showed kindness when it was needed most. As Jake watched ships from dozens of worlds patrol the star-filled space around Kepler 442b, he smiled. The Zilani had taken in one human refugee, and in return, humanity had become the protector of the galaxy. The universe was a little safer and a little kinder, because two species had chosen to do what was right instead of what was easy.